This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
Well, I am expected to be joined by the actor and America's newsman, Alpha Trevette, shortly. At least I'm hoping so. I'm Jack Murphy. Welcome to the Jack Murphy Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, now is your opportunity to do it. So, a lot going on today. The first thing I want to ask about, because I'm confused, really. I have a group of websites that I look at every day to look for stories and news and, to try to keep up with what's going on in the world. And there was a story today that caught my eye, and I went, what is she talking about? So Hulk Hogan's widow Sky, claims that Hulk was snubbed at the Emmys, and it was due to political reasons. Now, I'm always up for a good political theory or conspiracy theory, and Hulk had famously become a Trump supporter and a Republican and a Christian later in life. I'll take his word for it, and I hope he was. But I'm not sure what this Emmy snub is all about. A snub of what? Was there some Hulk Hogan show that I'm unaware of that should have been nominated for an Emmy that wasn't? Or I'm just not certain what she meant by the snub. If you can fill me in on that, I'd love to hear it, but I'm just not sure what it was. Just his years of working in wrestling or whatever. I mean, I'm all for honoring the Hulkster. He was one of a kind, that's for sure, but I just don't know what the Emmys had to do with it. And you're not going to be on that show with Stephen Colbert and all those other left-wing lunatic liberals. And why would you want to be? That's the other question. Also today, I have a little bit of a complaint, and I want to talk to, are they Gen Z? I guess they're Gen Zers, the younger people. I'm talking about people in their 20s primarily. I try to be very progressive. I'm on the talk all the time, posting on TikTok, following people on TikTok. And something I've noticed about the younger generation, and it's a bad habit to get into, and it just exposes your lack of intellect in my mind. But a lot of times there'll be a conversation going on TikTok, or I'll make a post about something that's bothering me and I'll talk about. And instead of engaging in a conversation where they say, hey, I saw your post, but I disagree because of blank, which I would gladly read and consider and respond to. But instead, what a lot of these young people tend to do is they'll go, okay, boomer, which is a classic gaslighting. So they're saying they disagree with you without saying they disagree with you, and they don't provide any intellectual evidence or argument or debate about why they disagree. I mean, not that I'm him, but you saw this a lot with Charlie Kirk when he would do these debates on campus where these young students would come up all fired up about some topic that they were going to talk about, and when they got ready to debate the actual topic, we found out they didn't know anything about the topic. They didn't have any facts. They didn't have any point of view. They didn't have any intellectual basis for an argument whatsoever. So it's childish, and it's unintellectual, and it's ineffectual to say, okay, boomer. And doesn't hurt my feeling at all, you little pissant. So the Democrats are finally, at least some of them, getting the message that when you constantly call people fascist and Nazis because they have different policy ideas than you do, that it might cause violence, just like it did with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, just like it did with the 2 attempted assassinations of President Trump. And, you can go search it on YouTube or just do a quick Google search or an AI search and look for examples of Democratic politicians calling people on the right Nazis or fascist. I've seen Kamala Harris do it. I saw Joe Biden do it. I've seen Obama do it over and over and over. Well, finally, this is not a guy that I expected would do this, but Senator Dick Durbin, says that the Democratic Party's gone too far, and it's time to stop calling people fascist and Nazis because they're denigrating the word. The very people that are calling conservatives fascist and Nazis are the fascists and Nazis because they're trying to shut down free speech. And in some cases, they're advocating violence and in some extreme cases, death to do that. And we saw it again yesterday. I mean, every day there's more and more of it. I think a lot of this are young people who are simply trying to create social media sensation. There was a Charlie Kirk Memorial at Texas Tech a couple of days ago, and there was a young African-American student who showed up at the memorial. And, I mean, the very idea that you would disrupt a memorial for a dead person is distasteful enough. But she goes all ghetto, yo, homie's dead, yo, home, and she's dancing and just saying really disrespectful things. And she wound up getting arrested, and she got expelled from Texas Tech University. She's out, cost her college career. She'll have to go somewhere else. Lost her tuition money, her place to live, whatever else she was getting. And she became viral on social media, and so in most normal circles, she will be a pariah for quite some time to come. And apparently, not everybody got the message that you shouldn't be doing that, because a young African-American student at Texas Tech showed up and did the same thing yesterday. Look at this. Here he is. Now he's impersonating Charlie Kirk getting shot at the neck. Now, if that wasn't enough, he's going to get up and do it again to make sure everybody sees it.
Oh, buddy.
Fuck that nigga.
You're gonna get expelled, dude.
And then he takes a big hit off his vape. I'm guessing he's not a 4.0 student at Texas Tech, and I don't think he will be a student at Texas Tech very much longer. It's just people don't know how to behave. People have no respect, no regard for life. They have no respect for debate in this country anymore.
You know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. Well, you have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
I told you that Alfred Trevette would be joining us, America's newsman and the famous actor. He's here sipping on some sort of a hot toddy. We won't go, no telling in the acting business what's in that hot toddy. But next thing I wanted to go to here on the podcast is, Alfred, do you like ice cream?
Yes, who doesn't like ice cream?
I got to tell you, I never really ate a lot of ice cream during my life growing up or whatever, but I have memories of when I was a kid. We had one of those old wooden tubs with the steel canister, and, we had a crank, and you put the ice and the salt, and Mama would take peaches or something, and we'd make homemade ice cream. And back, man, you had to crank that thing forever. Yeah. And, of course, you're impatient, so you'd stop and take the watched ice cream never gets hard, son. And then eventually we got one of them with a motor on it. Well, we really stepped up. I think that was the same year we got a color television. But that was my really my only experience with ice cream. But in my old age, I really have fallen in love with the ice cream. And unfortunately, one of my favorite ice creams is from a company that I detest, Ben & Jerry.
Yeah.
I don't like their politics. I don't like their founders, but I love that Cherry Garcia ice cream.
Doesn't like it.
Man, that stuff's good. Also, I hit the Cold Stone Creamery across the street quite a bit. Twice a month. That's not too bad. But
I'm a basic kind of guy. I like just vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, I like that too.
However, if I can get peach or pistachio,
love pistachio.
Right. Of course, when you're a kid, they used to buy the ice cream from the store and have Neapolitan. Have a strip of chocolate, a strip of vanilla, a strip of strawberry.
And I'm not even sure that was really ice cream.
Probably not.
You know, back then we had, let's see, where I grew up, Mayfield was the big brand that we had, you know, and it was pretty good. And then, you know, you learn as you get a little bit older. I mean, I met a guy, this is off my story, but I want to tell you real quick. I met a guy, and he was a mortgage broker. And this was in early 90s. And he was already rich, but he got fabulously rich in the mortgage business because that was right at the start of the real estate boom and the low mortgage rates and all that stuff. But anyway, I was talking to him one day, and I said, how'd you get in the mortgage business? He said, well, I had a bunch of money, and I felt better about lending it on real estate than investing it. And I said, where'd you get all the money? And he goes, oh, I had an ice cream company. And I said, you had an ice cream company? And it was the name, you know the brand instantly. It's not Ben & Jerry's, but it's another one of those big, what was it? I'll think of it when the show's over. But anyway, he said, he said the company was almost bankrupt, and he said, I bought it for almost nothing. And he said, I went in and I started talking to the people that worked there, and I said, well, you know, how do you make the ice cream? And they said, well, you put, you know, cream, milk, sugar.
Salt.
And a little salt and the flavor, and you go in there. And he said, I taste it. It's pretty good. And he said, what would happen if we doubled the cream and the sugar? And they said, well, it'd be a lot richer and sweeter. And he goes, let's try that. And he goes, it just, boom, the brand just exploded. He operated it for about 4 years and sold it for some astronomical amount of money. But back to Ben & Jerry. Ben & Jerry got rich in the ice cream business, and then they got greedy. Along came Unilever. You know, Unilever's the big multinational conglomerate that owned. They were in the soap business forever, but Unilever bought out Ben & Jerry. They gave them several $1 billion for the company, and I guess they had a handshake deal that they could continue their political things that they do. And I guess Unilever said, you know, how much damage can they do? People love the ice cream. They hate them. We get that. Well, anyway, I think they're both Jewish, aren't they?
Lever Brothers? And
No, Ben & Jerry.
Ben & Jerry?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
Might be.
But anyway, they were really upset about what was going on in Gaza. And so to really stick it to the Israelis, they decided no more Ben & Jerry's in Israel. They were cutting them off. And I thought, well, that can't be a whole lot of market share, you know, when you're looking at worldwide. And Unilever said, you know what? You can do your political stuff, but you're not going to tell us where you can sell our ice cream. We own the ice cream, and we're going to be selling Ben & Jerry's in Israel. And you can go protest all you want, but we're going to be selling ice cream. So Jerry... he took his ice cream scoop and went home. He quit. He's out. So I don't know if that says he's got higher morals than Ben, or Ben doesn't feel as strongly about it. But now it's just
Ben and ice cream.
Ben. Yeah, I guess they'll still call it Ben & Jerry's, but Jerry is no longer actively involved. I feel better. I actually feel better now about buying the Cherry Garcia every now and then. I they've made some like the Stephen Colbert ice cream they did. Did you try that?
No, I've not had any Ben & Jerry's for a long, long time.
It was not.
Just
it was
because, I guess.
Not very
I don't
good.
know.
Hey, start of the show, I asked this, so I've already talked about it, don't want to linger on it, but Hulk Hogan's widow is upset that he got snubbed at the Emmys, and I'm trying to figure out why. Was there some show I missed that the Hulk was in that should have been nominated?
Well, they did do a reality show, didn't they, with him and his family?
But that's a long time ago. That ended,
that's the only thing I can think of that he would, other than wrestling stuff.
Yeah, and why would you want to be on there with Stephen Colbert and all those people if you're, conservative the way he had turned in his old age? And I don't know. I didn't get it. I thought
Well,
maybe
he certainly got
know.
a standing ovation from the crowd there for his award after being canceled.
I don't know what the deal with that was.
Yeah.
All right, so there's I've got more cancelization due to the Charlie Kirk thing coming up later in the podcast, but I don't want to be all serious all the time. You got to throw a little levity into the show here. But I don't know if you saw this, Alpha, but of course Georgia pulls out a victory over Tennessee on Saturday, as we've talked about already. Brilliant victory. Brilliant victory by the Dogs. But there's a pretty cool guy that was at the Tennessee game, and he got he said on the news he got cold-played on the news. His name is Jeff Camus. I guess it's Camus, Comeaux.
Camus,
yeah. He's a Knoxville native and a lifelong Tennessee fan, and he said he hasn't missed a Georgia-Tennessee game at Neyland in 20 years.
Wow.
And apparently he was scheduled to work on Saturday, and he called out sick. But then he got put on the stadium cam. Like those people did at the Coldplay concert that were having the affair. So he got Coldplayed, and his boss saw it, and he's become quite a celebrity in Knoxville. They've had him on the news, and he didn't get fired. His boss is taking it well and letting it.
What are the odds of that? There's 101,000 people cramming that stadium, and the camera finds him.
I saw on the ESPN College Game Day show, Neyland Stadium is the 8th largest college stadium in America attendance-wise.
Yeah,
I was trying to think, what's bigger? You got Michigan,
the Big House, Horseshoe,
the Shoe.
Yeah,
maybe UCLA or Southern Cal.
Doubt it. I don't know. What about Texas or Oklahoma?
Maybe I don't know.
Is that in America or in the world?
In America, it's college football where they play college football.
Yeah, it's either SEC or Big Ten, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know what that'll be interesting. I'll look that up today, and I'll give you that information at a later date.
We'll be
here
waiting
on the Jack
breathlessly.
Murphy podcast. All right, so here in Charlotte, a little bit of a controversy, Alpha, because when I was a kid at my high school, now I was the first freshman class at a brand new high school in Cedartown where I grew up. But the old high school had been there like since the turn of the century. I want to say 1910 or something. And we were always the Cedartown Bulldog. But for some reason, there was a little statue of a lion at the entrance to the school. Okay. And so the students over the years before games would paint the lion different colors. And when the school moved, when they moved into the new school, they brought the lion over there. And somebody attempted to determine how many layers of paint were on the thing, and there was like an inch of paint on. You could barely tell it was a lion anymore for the paint. But here in Charlotte, there's a school. It's called Audrey Kell Kirk High School. And a lot of schools have these. When I first moved to Charlotte, I lived out in Indian Trail. And the high school there had one. It was a Spirit Rock. So a lot of schools, if they don't have one, they'll put a Spirit Rock on the campus. And it's a way for students to express things. Like if a student gets killed, God forbid, or something in a wreck, they'll paint the rock and do R.I.P. and put the name on. And so they can mourn a little bit and see it. Or there's a big game coming up, they'll go Chickens or whatever their mascot happens to be. They'll do it. Well, somebody had the nerve, how dare they, to honor Charlie Kirk on their Spirit Rock at Audrey Kell Kirk High School. They had the nerve to put this up, and the principal is pissed because they didn't get her permission. And they're going to find the students that are responsible, and they're going to be punished. How dare they put a Bible verse and a saying like "Live like Charlie Kirk" on the Spirit Rock? And boy, people are upset about it.
Well, this sounds like a homeowners association. You can't.
It
paint
really
anything without our
does.
permission.
It really does. How dare they do it? But I mean, the mentality of this principal, the fact that she can't read the room enough to know that you better just keep your mouth shut on this one. It's a no-win situation. You're gonna look bad. It just tells me she's got horrible judgment and probably doesn't need to be a high school principal.
Yeah, and what's wrong with that message? I mean, I think the message itself is an uplifting message.
It's either a power trip that she wanted them to come to her and get permission, or she's a liberal left-wing loony who doesn't like the Bible verse or didn't like Charlie Kirk. Either way...
I think it's worth mentioning that today is Constitution Day. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I did not know that. It's on this day in September 17 of 1787 that the Constitution was signed. This was years after the Revolutionary War, after the Declaration of Independence, all those things. So it was on this day that we had a constitution in the United States. And
fantastic.
There are those that continue to try to unravel it and find ways to subvert our constitution.
Don't take the bait in talking about migrant crime or carjackings or the things that actually don't matter to that many Americans.
Say what?
Say
what?
Comedian Michelle Wolf, you know who she is?
Yes, I've seen some of the stuff she's posted,
She gets a lot of acting work. She is in a lot of Netflix stuff. I see her all the time on, she plays the same type of character a lot of the times, but she gets a lot of work. If you don't know who she is, I've got a picture of her here. There she is. But she did a stand-up show and laughed and grinned as she brainstormed all the ways that Charlie Kirk could suffer had he lived long in the days after his assassination. She described Kirk, who was fatally shot, as being a bigot and a misogynist. So easy. Wolf continued to express that she would much rather Kirk had lived a long life, married to and watch his daughter become a successful, independent career woman who was into witchcraft, along with seeing nationally recognized Muslim holidays and unisex urinals.
Okay, where's the joke?
There is no joke. It's just trying.
It's just back years ago when I did stand up, the goal was to be funny. To make people laugh. They come in to forget about maybe their tough days at work and to have fun and to laugh, and so you try to make them laugh.
Yeah, she's playing to a room full of liberals is what she's doing.
Well, I would imagine so.
Playing to her base, trying to impress liberals. That's all she's doing.
Well, did you hear the story in Dearborn, Michigan? There's a mayor of Dearborn.
I have the clip right here if you'd like to see it.
Yes.
Go ahead and set it up.
Mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, a Muslim, large Muslim population there in Dearborn. Okay,
we've pretty well lost Michigan. It's that, in the
well, and that is
Muslim
what it is,
column.
a large Muslim population, and so they decided, I don't know if it was unilaterally or what, but to change some street names in the name of an Islamic, well, some call him a terrorist. Some say
he was a terrorist. He was a member of one of the terror groups,
Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, but he was also in Hezbollah.
Okay,
it's what the guy accuses him of, anyway.
There are people who object to having their streets named that. So
they wanted to take the name of a street that was named after somebody famous from Michigan and put a Hezbollah guy's name on it.
Yes.
That would piss me off too. And
so they had a city council meeting, and people spoke out against this. And this one guy stood up and objected as a Christian, and you will not believe how the mayor responded.
Watch this. It's crazy.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city. Because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence.
Hey, you aren't either. You're not either. Muslims don't believe in coexistence either, so don't try to sell us that load of BS.
Yeah, you don't believe in coexistence, so I will not coexist with you.
These words that they make up, misogynist, homophobic, Islamophobic, xenophobic, they're not even real words, or at least they don't mean what they purport them to mean. Because for instance, the word homophobic, I'm not afraid of gay people. Gay people don't scare me at all. It's just that I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. That's all. And if you want to go get married, fine. But I don't have to believe that that's okay. Islamophobic. I'm not afraid of Muslims. But I don't like what they have in their mind to do to this country.
Like that mayor's doing to Dearborn.
Like that mayor. I'm not afraid of it. I'm against it. There should be we should make up a new word. Instead of Islamophobe, like anti-Islamic, or there needs to be a better word. Xenophobic. I'm not afraid of people from other countries. I just don't want all of them coming here at once.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to protect American culture or British culture or French culture or
and in the past
culture.
And in the past, immigrants assimilated. They came to America because they said, I want to go there. They have freedom there. They have opportunity there. They have freedom of speech. They have a democratic republic where people are elected. But that's not what the Islamists want. They want to come and multiply and take over and impose Sharia law and make it a Muslim country. That's what I'm against.
And eventually, it's sort of like the word racism. If you use it so much for so many things, eventually it becomes meaningless. And so many of those words, it's like everything is some sort of phobia. Well, eventually that will become a meaningless term. And like in Inigo Montoya, I do not think that means what you think it means.
It doesn't mean what you think it means at all.
Hands next to you on the mat and begin a very gentle bouncing up and down. As you get better, lift one leg up, and as it tires, alternate legs. You can lift both legs up and put your body into a V shape.
So I wanna wrap up the podcast today with a great story. A lot of times I think that we as human beings, the human race, we could learn a lot by watching our animal friends all around us.
Yes, we could.
Now sometimes, not all the time, like when the leopard catches the baby deer and eats it in front of its mother up in the tree. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when an animal goes out of its way to get along with another animal than he shouldn't. Like I've seen a lot of that lately. I saw this, there was a zoo somewhere in Poland or something, and they had one old tiger and the tiger had been alone in the cage forever, and they threw it meat, and they thought they'd do something special for it, and they put a live goat in there. And they said, well, he'll really enjoy this. He can, hunt the goat and, kill it and eat the goat. Turns out the tiger and the goat, best buds.
Wow.
They lick each other and they sleep together. They're inseparable now. So that backfired.
I saw this one video of this family that lost the Chihuahua wound up missing.
Yeah, I saw that too. Isn't that cool? Yeah, tell them.
And the Chihuahua's missing. They don't know where he's gone for a long time.
Months. He's been gone from.
They have a trail camera out in the woods, and one night it lights up, and there's some wolves out just tooling around, and here comes the Chihuahua.
He's right in the middle of them.
It's like, yo quiero Taco Bell. Like
he's a member of the wolf. He's in the wolf pack now.
Well,
I don't know how.
Our wolves are afraid of a Chihuahua.
Yeah, I don't know how they keep up. I don't know how he keeps up with them, but that's a Chihuahua with an attitude. They all have an attitude.
Don't you mess with me.
Who would have known that he could get along with a wolf? But this is one like, I've seen a few things out in the ocean that were amazing. I think I told you about the blue whale pod I saw one time. And there was another time when we were on this boat, and we were, I think we had cruised for 24 hours offshore San Diego, and I was on a boat that had a tuna tower, big, and had a little, you could stand up there, or you could sit, and it came up to about right here, but you're like, 30 feet off the water up in the top, and it had a little phone down to the captain. And the idea is you sit up there and spot fish, and hey, Captain, you got a marlin. Well, anyway, I'm up there, and it's kind of a foggy morning, and the fog is starting to break, and suddenly, as far as the eye could see, there were Pacific dolphins. I mean, there must have been hundreds of thousands of them, just as far as you could see, and it went on for like 15, 20 minutes until they all, were disappeared, and I just was like, in shock. I had seen this. It was so magnificent. So whenever I turn on David Attenborough or one of these others, and I see killer whales hunting dolphins, to me it's very disturbing. Like these killer whales, they'll come up and knock these dolphins 30 feet in the air, and then
or seals or whatever,
and they'll eat them. Well, there's an exception to that. The killer whale, the orca, it's a very familial mammal in that they have a pod. There's a pecking order in the pod. There's a lead cow and there's a lead bull, or whatever you call a male and female, that lead the pack, and they've developed their own unique ways of speech. Like there's several different dialects they speak. They have their own hunting methods because they hunt different things. Some of them eat salmon, some of them eat seals, some of them eat sharks. They all eat different things. But there's a weird outlier, killer whale, who's being studied right now. His name is Old Thom. He's an older killer whale, and they call him Old Thom. And he has adopted a pod of dolphins as his own, and he now swims with these dolphins and has been for several years now. It's pretty amazing.
That's a killer whale right there.
Wow.
An orca.
And these are all dolphins he's swimming with.
Hi, you guys.
And they swim together and hunt together.
All that white, that's a killer whale. He's right behind our boat.
See him down there?
Wow.
He's right behind our boat. That's a killer whale.
Isn't that crazy?
So he identifies as a dolphin.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. They're unsure how it happened. They don't know, why he's not in a killer whale pod. It's funny. I moved to San Diego in 1987, and I worked for a successful radio station. So we did promotions with SeaWorld. And this was before Blackfin came out, and there was all the backlash about SeaWorld. But they had a big a promotion, and we gave away tickets and everything. And we were invited to this VIP thing, Alpha, where SeaWorld was all excited because they had built a new killer whale enclosure. And they were so excited because it was the biggest saltwater tank in the world for killer whales. It was millions of gallons or whatever. And I got there at the stadium and I looked at it, excuse me, and I said, it ain't that big, for a killer whale.
Whales,
what were they swimming in before? And it was really sad. I mean, I noticed it then because when the whales weren't performing, they didn't get to use it. It was almost like they had little stalls for the killer whales. So they had smaller pools that they were led into, and it was closed off. And when it was showtime, they'd let them out one at a time. And that's why later one of them ate one of the trainers, or drowned her, if you remember that. Remember that?
Yeah.
But there was always this call, and it's still going on today, against SeaWorld. So they finally, because SeaWorld used to go out and actually trap the killer whales that they had.
Right.
They would catch younger ones or any ones they could get and bring them back, and the government allowed them to do it. And then they stopped doing that, and I think there's 5 or 6 SeaWorlds still open around the country, around the world. But now all the whales they have were born in captivity, so they don't know anything about the wild. So it was terrible the last time I lived in San Diego, because I remember this was back in 2015, 2016. We did a promotion where we were giving away some tickets to SeaWorld, and you do the thing where you go, okay, here's the trivia question and the 10th caller, and it was something like, some famous celebrity had said, and I'd say, tell us what so-and-so said, and he'd pick up the phone and go, you're caller 10, what did they say? And it was probably the dolphin screaming, let us out, let us out. They hated SeaWorld. I mean, it's unbelievable. But they were always screaming for them to release these killer whales. And the problem is, these whales don't know how to survive.
They don't know how to survive, right.
They wouldn't begin to know how to catch food to eat or, anything to do. And they probably would not be accepted into an existing pod of killer whales. And there are some around San Diego. So I don't know. I don't like the idea of being in captivity or dolphins. They're meant to swim free.
Well, like you said, they're whales, and they're used to, or they should be in a space that fits a whale. And
the big tank there doesn't do it. But anyway, with this old Thom, they don't know what became of his pod or how. Because I guess if you behave the wrong way in the pod, they'll kick you out.
Well, those dolphins had to be, for the first little while, going, okay,
kind of nervous.
What does he want here? All right, keep an eye on him.
But the message from the whale and the dolphins is that, can't we just get along? Can't we just try to get along a little bit better? Yeah. That's our message for today from the Jack Murphy Podcast. Now, if you'd like to find more ways to get along, subscribe to the podcast and like this video. And Alpha, thanks for being with us today. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Jack Murphy Podcast.
See you then.
Thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops, and tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.